Welcome back. Sexual harassment has been national news for quite a while, and it gave rise to the Me Too movement that was forged to fight it. Now, our partners at the Journal News, they have been looking at how Westchester is handling cases and is raising a lot of questions that are resonating far beyond just the county's borders. Fox News' Ray Ramundi, he is working with the paper to help dig deeper, and Ray joins us now.
It's hard to believe it's been a little more than 70 days since New York's former chief lawyer resigned over allegations of sexual misconduct and physical abuse. Former Attorney General Eric Schneiderman, a casualty of the feverish jolt of the Me Too movement, and now a new investigation looking into how Westchester County investigates and handles claims of harassment and discrimination with county employees.
Are the county policies working really well, or are they working poorly? It could be either one. There doesn't seem to be a huge uptick to coincide with the explosion of the Me Too movement.
Journal News investigative reporter Mark Longariello submitting a Freedom of Information request for records with the County Law Department. And
I would like to call the July meeting of the Board of Directors for the Human Rights Commission of Westchester County.
The County Human Rights Commission, the investigative board responsible for protecting civil and human rights for county residents and employees from harassment, sex harassment, and discrimination.
The Human Rights Commission is investigating through an executive order by a previous county executive. So the question is, on the legislative end, do there need to be laws created? Does there need to be more regulation on that level?
The New York State Division of Human Rights, which oversees all the human rights commissions across the state of New York, have reported the number of harassment, sexual harassment, and discrimination cases just here in White Plains alone have increased by 28 complaints between last year and this year. The Westchester County Human Rights Commission is housed in that building you see right here behind me. And data collected by the Journal News uncovered that out of the 4,200 county employees of Westchester, only 6 sex harassment cases were filed since 2008.
There weren't a huge number of investigations, and there certainly weren't a lot of lawsuits. So are all of the incidents being reported, and then are all of those incidents being reported and investigated?
The investigation revealing those half-dozen complaints were made by employees in various departments, including the Youth Bureau, Social Services, and even the Department of Public Works. One case involved a corrections officer who alleges he was continuously sexually harassed physically and verbally by a sergeant who is now a captain, as revealed in this lawsuit filed by the officer. In one alleged phone conversation between the captain and officer, that officer claims he was using the bathroom when he received a call from his superior. The captain allegedly then asks, quote, "Were you playing with your expletive?" referring to the officer's genitals. "Were you stroking your expletive?" The officer responds saying, "Excuse me?" The captain then responds saying, quote, "I'm just doing a home check, you are good," and then hangs up the phone. In another complaint, a Department of Public Works employee in Mount Vernon alleges she has been subject to stalking behaviors by a fellow county employee. She recalls the time of alleged stalking, saying in a complaint, quote, "I sensed a car coming up fast on me towards my right. I turned to see him drive up on me on the wrong side of the street against traffic to get on my side. I was scared to death as I didn't know what his intentions were." Of those 6 internal harassment and sex harassment cases reported within the county since 2012, 2 internal complaints found the Human Rights Commission policy was violated. In fact, no payments have been made by the county on sex harassment cases since 2008, and 2 of the internal cases were filed by male county employees.
The question is, does there need to be more regulation on Westchester County level? Are people adequately protected, and those accusers that are coming forward, do they feel protected from retaliation and everything else?
The Human Rights Commission plans to increase the number of seats on its board. Meantime, it says the Office of Equal Employment Opportunity and Affirmative Action will continue to investigate claims of sexual harassment and says its top priority is to ensure a safe and comfortable work environment. It also encourages employees to come forward with concerns. In White Plains, Ray Ramundi, FiOS 1 News.
Thank you very much, Ray. Now, the Westchester County Human Rights Commission, they say that New York State's legislature recently passed a law requiring revisions of the Equal Employment Opportunity Policy. The legislature, it also required mandatory interactive sexual harassment training for all employees. The county, they're working to implement that very training. And you can read the full Journal News report on loha.com. And right now, it'll also be showed in the Sunday paper. And joining me is Mark Lungarello. He's a reporter who worked on the piece. So I guess there's two ways to read this, right? You read that there's been no payout, and even in the Me Too era, there hasn't been a huge spike, albeit some of the troubling cases that you report in here that you find. Why? Is it they're doing a great job, or the people who are afraid to come forward, or the systems aren't in place to help the victims? You any close to the answer?
That's the million-dollar question, I guess, because are there fact that there are fewer number of cases than you might expect for a staff that size, does that mean that the policies in place are working very well, or does it mean that people are not coming forward, or that the complaints are not being documented? There are processes that the Westchester County can undertake to kind of look into that. There are audits and polls that they can do just informally, anonymously, just to know how much is out there that's not getting done. So we'll see if that's the case, or if Westchester does come to some kind of reckoning with this.
In some of the specific incidents that you get into, everything from harassment to stalking, etc., do the alleged victims, do they feel that the county is looking out for them? Do they feel protected? Are they angry only at the alleged offender here, or are they also angry at the county?
I don't know that there'll ever be a situation where there is not a feeling that they're being retaliated against to an extent. But out of the 6 cases that we looked at, these 6 investigations by the Human Rights Commission, almost everyone has some kind of accusation of retaliation, or that they reached out to someone who did not, kick it up to the next level to look into. So, I think that is maybe something that needs to be looked at in terms of training. If I come to my manager and I tell them that there is an issue, that manager is obligated by the county law to go and tell the Human Rights Commission and the Equal Opportunity Office and tell them this employee X, Y, or Z had an issue, and have it documented so that if it comes back out, that it may be investigated or handled with.
Well, we're going to see what they're going to do about it. Mark, great job as always. Thank you. All right, when we come back here, it's Friday. We're going to lighten things up a little bit. We'll shift gears to Broadway. A new musical about Donna Summers on The Great White Way. John Simon, he's next with the review. Doesn't sound like something he'd like here, but did the impossibly to please critic actually enjoy it? We'll tell you straight ahead.